So I wanted to react to this story here. Just mind-blowing. Biden nuclear waste official accused of airport luggage theft. And ladies and gentlemen, meet your nuclear official, who is apparently Sam Brinton, who's been accused of stealing luggage now twice within the past 2 months. The first time back in late October for nabbing a woman's suitcase off a baggage carousel in Minneapolis. And unfortunately, he does have, I wanted to do some legitimate investigative research on this, and he's got his Instagram locked, but there are some photos of him, and I think that might be his Halloween costume. Or, you know what, listen, using pronouns in this situation is like, going around grenades at this point. I don't think I should. I don't know what the pronouns this individual would want, but meet your nuclear health official. If we have a Chernobyl, this is who we got to trust right here in Joe Biden's administration. We also had the huge release of the Twitter files, basically a part 3. And guys, one of the things I wanted to say, when it comes to the Twitter files and things like that, there really is a total shutdown with mainstream media. They don't want to say anything because it's not even that it's their strategy. They cannot say anything. CNN cannot do a story genuinely on the Twitter files. They can't do it because they agree with internet censorship. So what are they going to have Van Jones go up there and say, no, I agree people should be censored if they say things, if they don't agree with me politically, which is really what they believe. Of course, they can't say that, so they will not cover it. They'll say if we don't cover it, it doesn't matter. That's the mainstream talking point. That's why you have all these Democrats coming out saying the Twitter files are a nothing burger because they're forced to ignore it and not cover it because they agree with internet censorship. And obviously you can't say that out loud. It sounds ridiculous. Censoring people is never popular. That's why Elon Musk is spending this money, because he knows, listen, I'll spend a ton of money, yeah, whatever. In 30, 40 years, when people look at my legacy, they will see that I fought for internet freedom and during a time where we did see significant censorship and manipulation, especially, unfortunately, amongst young, gullible people. That's why all the young people are so liberal, and then they grow up and they kind of grow out of it. They gain life experience, they get smarter, and a lot of them switch over. So the recent dump, this is pretty crazy. You can see this is one of during the thread, it was like 50 tweets or whatever. This is one that really got me. Apparently, Twitter, on their little Slack page, they were messaging each other about Trump's tweets, and he was claiming a bunch of fraud and things like that. And they were like Googling stuff to see if it was true or false and referencing NPR articles, CNN articles, and saying, no, that's true. You have to leave it up. No, it's false. You can, put a little one of those tags, whatever it is. I actually forgot this even happened, but if you guys remember, we had never seen something like this on Twitter where you actually put all of these tags. Take a look at this tweet. This is just pure censorship. I mean, there is more characters in the messages that Twitter is providing than Trump's actual tweet. And this is Twitter totally trying to silence Trump without banning him. And then they get their complete Mona Lisa moment, January 6th, and everyone bans him. But I just think, I do remember them adding these, adding the stay informed thing, learn how voting by mail is safe and secure. So number one, that's a completely false statement. There are multiple countries that outright ban mail-in voting. This is not a conspiracy. They ban it because there's rampant voter fraud concerns. Now, obviously, I'm not saying, I don't know enough about the situation. I haven't done, a lot of research on it, or I've done a little, but it's not like I'm going to comment on it about 2020. But this, like that statement is completely false. countries ban mail-in voting because there's rampant voter fraud with mail-in voting. It's easier to do it. So they're just lying. They're making stuff up under these Trump tweets, and you can see some of or all of the content shared in this tweet is disputed and might be misleading. But then in the thread during the Twitter files, they show Democrats completely talking about, oh, the election being stolen, things like that. We remember, of course, the Democrats did the exact same thing to Trump. Now, I will say, obviously, there was no, Hillary conceded the night right, election night 2016, she did concede. I will give them credit. But we did go through a 2-year investigation where the Democrats were in total denial about the election being stolen, and we had to spend millions of dollars and really so much time wasted on the idea that somehow Russia hacked our machines and influenced people to vote for Donald Trump. And then, of course, the arguments all collapse on themselves when their whole narrative is that Putin controls Trump, but then Putin waits for Trump to get out of office and then invades Ukraine and gets hit with massive sanctions from the Democrats. But if Putin controlled Trump, wouldn't he just invade Ukraine in 2018 or 2019? Because then he doesn't have to face any sanctions from the United States. They're not shipping Ukraine $100 trillion every other minute. And that brings us to our next little story here on Zelensky. You could say, I thought this was funny. So this is a Lego minifigure, custom made, President Zelensky. Guys, I'll be honest, this is mine. I need someone to buy this, seriously. $7,500 right now on eBay. Please, I just listed it. I need money badly. And it is certainly a collectible. It's certainly good. And then, of course, we have Zelensky winning the Time Person of the Year. I think the finalists were, Elon Musk, Liz Cheney, which is hilarious because Joe Manchin is basically the opposite of Liz Cheney, but Liz Cheney is the only one that gets nominated. It's funny how that works with Time Magazine. But Zelensky ends up winning it. And, of course, this is an individual who tried to plunge us into a nuclear war by falsely accusing Russia of firing a missile into Poland and then demanding NATO's assistance, which would basically bring on the end of the world. But let's give him Time Person of the Year. That makes a lot of sense. And then we've got this tweet from a completely unhinged individual who just, it's so cringy to see the way these people act. Holy fucking shit. If you cheered when cops got bludgeoned on January 6th, kindly sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up over Brittany Griner kneeling for the national anthem. You're a fucking fake patriot and we're tired of your shit. So it's just so cringe with these people. It's you need to take a deep breath. My goodness, so much hate. So much hate in these people's hearts. It's like if they use the F word in a tweet 7 times, they really mean business. Let me just say, we totally condemn what happened on January 6th. It was a very small fraction, and it was really amplified. And the only issue I really have with the Democrats, they started saying it was worse than 9/11. I mean, folks, really? And then they started manipulating the 5 deaths that happened at it, when really, if you look at the deaths, it was like 3 months later, 3 cops committed suicide, and they said, oh, those are deaths that are related to January 6th. So they were trying to make it as bad as possible, and then we need to have primetime hearings at 8 o'clock, because that's exactly when courts should do their hearings. The January 6th committee, look at me, we're going to host it at 8 o'clock because we want everyone to see it. It is disgusting. That is not the way you should find innocence or guilt. Totally unprofessional, but they have to do it at 8 o'clock because they want to make it a big charade. And then you've got this individual who is just completely unhinged and needs to take medication or something. I mean, my goodness, it is so sad to see how far these people go and just such a mental health problem there. And then we've got Elton John announcing that he's leaving Twitter due to misinformation. Now, guys, he says the word misinformation, and I want everyone to know, if you actually look at Google Trends on the word misinformation, This was a word that was brought by the Democrats into the mainstream narrative right during 2020. And what it really does is it stifles free speech. And the most obvious example I can think of, and obviously it's very relevant right now, is the laptop situation during the 2020 election with Biden, where the excuse they used, now maybe behind closed doors they said it was hacked materials, but to the general public, the excuse on why it got banned everywhere was because it was misinformation and disinformation. Now, the reason they're able to do that is because they've made these words. It's really a situation where if we don't like something and we don't know if it's true or not, we can label it misinformation or disinformation and get it removed. This is internet warfare. This is really a word that silences free speech, and I've been saying it for a while. Misinformation and disinformation. Listen, I know what the words mean technically. It's just false information that's being used, but that words get manipulated. And it's like, if you don't like when someone says something, you can call it disinformation and get it removed. That's the real issue. Now, obviously, that's not going to happen, at least very much anymore, on Twitter. And that is why we have people throwing hissy fits and saying the F word 7 times in a tweet when it comes to that. And then we've also got Elon Musk should ban Adam Schiff for misinformation. And I completely disagree. See, now that the Twitter spectrum is more fair, or I guess according to liberals, it's more to the right, whatever. But in terms of free speech, like now that Republicans, this is an account, America Unwoke, you shouldn't now do exactly what liberals did when they had power. You need to let these people talk. If they're wrong, prove that they're wrong. And Elon Musk, I think, commented under the tweet where he was like, listen, you've got all the hate speech rising and things like that, which is totally false. And Elon Musk calls him out and backs up the data. That's how you should deal with that. You should not do what the exact same thing that the Democrats did and just silence people. You should not do that. You should allow everyone to speak unless it gets to be kind of a medical situation where they have, kind of like the Ye situation and things like that, where it's like they need serious help. Let's give them a timeout. But otherwise, you got to let them speak. But overall, I think, when it comes to the Twitter files and the censorship, and again, guys, it's all coming out. It is all big stuff. Unfortunately, they did delete a lot of it. That's why there's holes in the story, because they're not stupid. If Elon Musk is in the process of buying Twitter, there is ways to delete some of the emails and things like that and really not show and expose the entire social media ecosystem, because we know the collusion happening between Google, Facebook, and Twitter and Instagram. It was all there because they're all silencing the exact same story. It just must be a coincidence. Oh, no, it's a coincidence. They all ban people at the exact same time, but it's a coincidence, right? There's no collusion. They all have their own guidelines, right? That's what they all say. No, they do it at the same time, so they kind of use each other as, the Trojan horse. Don't blame us, blame them. They banned him too. They banned him too. Everyone bans him. It's like, no, he has to be banned. If everyone does it, he must be banned, right? So they all go together, and it's not like Twitter just independently banning someone. It's all of them together, or it's all of them blocking the same story, and then they're trying to tell us there's no collusion. They all have their own guidelines when it's totally false, and that's why Elon Musk really needs to keep pushing and fighting for free speech, especially on Google. And you already have Google silencing things like the China protests and stuff like that. And really, that's another thing that they can't even talk about, because they agree with that type of government control over the citizens. They argue for it every single day. They want citizens to have less rights, whether it's the Second Amendment. And of course, they play to your emotions. They say things, school shootings, it's horrible, I know. But they'll play to your emotions on it. They won't let you think rationally and say, listen, if we do this, we are losing a lot of our rights to the government, a lot of our power to the government, an armed society. And of course, it's the same exact thing with freedom of speech, especially in China, and kind of how they were forced into total lockdowns. And now, if you actually look at the images coming out of China, it is so sad. They are building pandemic camps. And this is literally over 2 years after the pandemic. This should be shown everywhere. This is why we can't keep going down that path, but they can't show it because they are preaching that we should be going down that path. They wanted more lockdowns. They wanted more control over the citizens. So it's like them showing the lockdowns and how bad it is in China. That would be totally hypocritical because it's not that they want that exactly, but they want that type of power the government would have over the citizens. And it's just so shocking. Like, you can never lose an argument with these people because they are in favor of the government. It's like, oh, you support a billionaire. Why are you defending Elon Musk? You're defending an entity that controls people, and you want them to get more control by taking the weapons, by banning the free speech, especially on the internet, which influences young people into voting a certain way. So it is so evil. It's so sad. But it is started. It's been kickstarted by Elon Musk. He's doing it. So you needed someone. And it is shocking. And I'm sure they didn't expect it. I mean, who expects a billionaire just to have $44 billion and say, you know what? I'm sick of it. This is ridiculous. We're not dealing with this type of manipulation. And of course, we saw the manipulation yesterday where they would kind of discourage accounts from trending and things like that. They're trying to curate and control what younger people are seeing, and really not allowing younger people to be influenced by certain figures that they don't like on social media. And that goes back to the whole point of all the young people that are liberal, and then they grow up and they gain life experience, and as you get older, you get smarter, and most of them are able to snap out of it at some point. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.